guys, you're watching Everyday Struggle with academics Wayno and Nadeska. Now, we've been off air for the past week, and during that time, we got another dark reminder that Black lives are in danger every single day in America, and very often at the hands of the people who are supposed to be protecting us. Now, I think there's a pretty good chance that protests over George Floyd's death have touched your city in the past few days. They've been all across the country, and so far, the Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, who murdered George Floyd, has been charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. Now, we're still waiting for those other 3 officers involved to be charged as well, because I think they're just as guilty, 100% complicit in murder. We've seen a lot of artists speak out, go protest, but just Wayno academics, I haven't had a chance to speak to you guys in the past few days. Just wondering how you're feeling personally.
I'll go first. Truth be told, and unfortunately, I was a little bit, even really sadly a little bit desensitized to, police mistreating people of color. So when the name George Floyd kept popping up, at first I'm like, what's new? This is the same thing. Like, we become normalized to certain type of pain and certain type of videos. But, as obviously the talk around like just what happened became bigger, I actually watched the video, completely horrified. I just couldn't believe that, and it wasn't even, of course there's 100% a racial element of it, but I just couldn't believe that a human could do that to another human. It felt like it was just cold-blooded murder. And watching that, I'm going to be very honest, I had very, in America now, we throw around these terms of minority. I really feel that was one of the few times I felt like, because there was this Asian dude who was a cop that was standing right there keeping people away. I was like, man, we be just calling everybody minorities. Really? Well, you black, you in this alone, to keep it real. Because you get to realize the reason why they're going that hard on George Floyd and why he ultimately died is because there's no more feared person in American society than the black male. For all those cops, for them to feel safe, they felt they had to do that much, even to the point that he's screaming out for his mom. He's screaming out he can't breathe. And at that point, I knew this was about to get to here, but just overall, that video alone, if I don't know if you guys have ever came in, and this is for anyone who's in the audience, obviously, if you guys have ever came into police contact, or if you're a person of color, but it's a different experience. And if you didn't watch that video, a lot of times, we try to normalize it. And this is kind of like explaining it away. Like, well, if he didn't resist it, there was nothing he could have done. He's handcuffed on his stomach. There's nothing he could have done. That could literally be me. That could be Wayno. That could be you. That could be anyone of color. If there's fear in someone's heart and they just have a disregard for your life, that could be you. So I was just completely horrified by that alone.
Thank you, academics. That was, thank you for just sharing how you felt. For me, it at the first day, it kind of fucked me up, because I myself have had more run-ins with the police than I could even count from the time I was 12 years old. From the time when I was 12 was the first time I ever got stopped and frisked. I've had cops tell me that I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, throw me on the wall, rough me up. And me being in the wrong place in the wrong time was just me crossing the street to go home after going to get something to eat. The thing about it is it's such an abuse of power, and you see it everywhere. When I seen what happened with George Floyd, I was just like, oh, again. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't desensitized, because it's I feel like growing up I was so normalized by the police behavior. I thought that that's just how they act. I thought that they had the rights to do all the shit that they used to do to me and my friends. And we never really had anybody to talk to about it. Even when it comes to dealing with trauma, I didn't even know what the word trauma meant. I remember every single instance I've had dealing with the police since I was a child. And to see that they could do, I of course I knew that they was capable of this. If you look at the history of this country, there's been worse things done, and it keeps getting worse. And I think it's just an absolute abuse of power. It's an absolute abuse of power. It's a disregard for a man's life. Even with George Floyd, of course he wasn't resisting. He was bigger than all of them. You know what I mean? Like he was literally like the dude. It was Steven Jackson, former NBA player. He was one of his closest friends. He said that he was an athlete, you know, and he just was a person who never got the same opportunities as him. But this guy, for a nonviolent crime, that's how they do you in the middle of the street. You know, it's just I felt down for a few days, but I'm starting to feel a little bit more empowered because now I have a voice and I can talk about the things that I've gone through. I can speak for people who can't speak for themselves. So while I did feel down, I do feel a little bit more up, knowing that I got a responsibility to hold myself to be able to speak about these things so that we could bring more awareness.
Absolutely. And you guys make a good point. I think we're all going through different emotions, from just being outraged and angry to being scared to feeling a little bit numb, you know what I mean, after all these years of protesting in Baltimore and Ferguson and feeling like nothing has changed. And even outside of this case, watching that video, I think this might have also happened while we were off, of the white woman in Central Park calling the cops and threatening to say an African American man is starting to threaten me, like knowing that that's a weapon that you could use is just very terrifying. So I think it was really dope to see a lot of artists out there, like, you know, J. Cole, Tory Lanez, Yachty, people in the streets actually with protesters. But I think a lot of us are also wondering, outside of protests, how we can make some effective change. So Jay-Z did speak with the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, and asked that, you know, we have the attorney general step in and take over the case, which has happened. The Minnesota attorney general, his name is Keith Ellison. So Jay's asking that he do the right thing and prosecute all the officers responsible for the murder to just the fullest extent of the law. He said, this is just a first step. I mean, at this point, guys, we've seen this repeat over decades and decades. Do you think, you know, this is really the next step? We need just prosecution and then, of course, working further to get laws changed, or else we're never going to, you know, move forward from this.
Yeah, I think that, you know, they definitely have to do something to change laws. It's just like, but beyond changing laws, I don't know. I feel like even it's just the mindset of police. You know, they just have this certain type of mindset that, like, I'm here, you there. Like, I can make you feel however I want you to feel. Like, I don't know how that's gonna change. I don't know when it would change, but it's more of an internal thing that I don't know if laws being changed can fix it, because there are certain laws of things that you're not supposed to do, and they still break the law. Mm-hmm. You know, and when they break the law, and like the Asian cop that was standing right there, while you might not see him throw a punch, he's just as responsible because you're standing there doing nothing.
The thing is that they all feel so protected, right? Because 100%. Of political clout. Go ahead,
you standing there doing exactly. You standing there doing nothing, and you
I was appalled by his behavior, just like the others. Like, right. But I don't know if anyone, like, to put some historical context, and this is why, like, it gets people's, or it should get your blood boiling a little bit. If anyone's ever seen the movie, and like, I think it's a movie that people watch like in school coming up, but it's called American History X. Absolutely. And it's like just how just even white people treat black people. Like, there was a fucking scene where like they were stomping this dude's head on the curb, and you were just like, this is just so inhumane. When I was watching this shit, I was like, this is nothing but the modern day version of that. You know, it's a different experience, where you know, as you mentioned laws, I look at it and I'm like, I don't think no laws fix a mindset where it says, right, if I'm a cop that, you know, already has these prejudices or whatever built in my mindset, and also fear definitely is playing a part of it. If I run into Wayno, just off the fact that I think that, listen, without me using my weapon, he might, like, I view him as this physically just overpowering type of person, because honestly, like, I know a lot of people don't like going that deep with it, but this is all from, like, really our ancestors and us being bred as slaves. Mm-hmm. This is where this mindset, like, yo, these are some big black dudes that could overpower us. Like, we have to go harder, because I'm telling you, if that dude is, like, I hate to even say it's just the cops and citizens, that's not it. That's a white dude, 100% he ain't dying. That's an Asian dude, he not dying. That's a Spanish dude, I don't think he dying. I think it's the thought of African Americans. I'm telling you. And I think they went so hard, and it went so hard that he actually lost his life. But, like, all that is really from that mindset, that fear is actually built up from slavery. 100%. That mindset is kind of passed down. And to Deska's point, I was equally horrified by the Asian dude that was standing there. By the way, there was another video recently that just came out. It was in France, and it was almost the same thing. I don't know what this fucking procedure is with the foot on the neck shit, but that just doesn't look like you're like if you have multiple cops trying to even subdue someone, say that they're being like unruly or they're resistant. What is this foot on the neck thing? Even after you've got them in handcuffs, I just don't get it. Especially
that's in none of their training. It's in none of their training though. Like, that's just the crazy part.
And here's the thing: at least that video in France recently, probably is because of what's going on in the U.S. You know, the media is all around. The other cops, they tapped him on the shoulder like, "Bro, stop." It's appalling to me that Asian dude just sat there, and while everyone like, fuck if they're making noise or whatever, they're like, "Yo, the dude can't breathe. It looks like he's unconscious." There's not even a care to say, let me look back and be like, yo, chill. It's like they rather stand united than actually check the other person. Huge problem.
Exactly, and that's the whole problem. See, when it comes to policing, right? I like to be a cop. I think you just got to be a selfless person. And okay, whatever transpired to get the police there in the first place, they said that it allegedly that he might have used a counterfeit $10 bill or something like that. Even if he did it unknowingly or knowingly, it's not a violent crime. This man lost his life. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. And I think that's the disregard. Even for myself, when I think about like dealing with law enforcement or whatever, it's bottled up animosity. You know what I mean? It's tons of bottled up animosity due to how they treat you, how they talk to you, how they try to make you feel inadequate, how they try to put you down. I done been crossing the street and a cop pushed me just for telling me I'm in his way. Push me. There's nobody I could call, nothing I could say. You know what I'm saying? It's like years of that and years of that and years of that, and that's why we have the results that we have now. And I think that, you know, of course, everybody isn't going to be on the front lines on the protest, because I've been at protests myself as well. But we all got to fight our own way on how we can change things.
And that's, I think you guys all make great points. You're 100% right. It is systemic racism dating all the way back to slavery. There's a lot of racist cops out there. We're never going to change their minds, and we're never going to change who they are. But I think one thing that, I guess this is just how I feel. I'm just tired of being angry and frustrated. I've signed all the petitions. I protested. Like, I want to know what's next, right? We're not going to change them as people. But cops are just protected politically. Other politicians are scared to attack them. And I think until we start prosecuting these cops, they're going to keep doing the same thing. They might not stop being racist, you know what I mean? But if they know that they're going to go to prison for life, that would probably change how they act. So I'm just trying to figure out how we all get to that next step, like what we can actually do. And I do applaud all the protesters who've been out there wearing masks safely and peacefully protesting, and not just Black people. It's been really encouraging to see a lot of white people out there as well fighting for Black lives, and some artists have spoken up, some have not. Lil Wayne is one person who had a conversation with Fat Joe on Instagram Live last week, and there's some mixed reactions to his comments. He said, when we see these situations, we have to get very specific. We have to stop viewing it with such a broad view. Means stop placing the blame on the whole police force or a certain race or everyone with a badge. He says we actually have to get into who that person is, and if we want to place the blame on anybody, it should be on ourselves for not doing more than we think we're doing. But I think we're all just trying to figure out what more can we do to undo something that's been like this for a century already, you know?
I just, with comments like that, I just don't understand how you can make a comment like that when that's how we're viewed. You get what I'm saying? It's like a cop will lock somebody up for whatever they locked them up for last week, and then they'll treat everybody with a certain disdain based on whatever their last job was, or based on how they feel about one person, or based on what they've seen on television, or how they, and then most of the police that are put into a lot of neighborhoods don't come from the neighborhoods. They don't know how people act. They don't know how people speak. So they're coming in with a negative overtone, just how they handle things. So when Wayne said that, I'm just a little bit thrown off. It's like we don't look as everybody with the badge, yeah. all police ain't bad, but they do fall under a certain type of umbrella. And I feel like if you a cop and you see corruption going on in your precinct or your district, whatever, if you don't say nothing, you just as bad. Just as bad. So I mean, I don't know what he was going with that. I really don't.
I love Wayne, but Wayne has proven time and time again with a lot of statements he's made that he's a little bit out of touch. And you know why we excuse him for being out of touch musically? Because, you know, he's a legend. When it comes to social issues, you know, people who share that opinion and try to, you know, almost like, wait, we got to also look at us type of shit I don't think they're really keeping up with the general and even just the majority trend of what's going on. Like, they're the people who are saying, well, you're not getting killed if you don't resist. Now, first of all, there's so many problems with even saying that, because there's a lot of people who resist, right? Not everybody die, and there's actually it would show that people who quote unquote resist, African Americans get treated at a different level and a different way. But still, like, if you look at this video, there ain't no resisting, man. Like, there's no resisting that should have caused that. You get me? And also, like, you know what Wayne said, I've heard in some small doses, or like I heard kind of the same sentiment kind of being expressed when A$AP Rocky spoke at Oxford in the UK, or you heard you know, Kevin Gates, even though I think he was trying to deal with personal accountability, he was like, yo, anytime I've came into contact with the cops and whatever went down, it was my fault. And I think that's kind of naive. And of course, you know, by the way, for Wayne, I don't know if I excuse him, but like, Wayne been rich since he's 16. You feel me? Like, let's be clear. Like, he also said he didn't really know if he've ever like really experienced racism. So like, when Wayne is speaking, and again, because he's such a great musician and he does have a platform because he's so great, we're taking everything he is saying so seriously. But I'm sorry, like, you know that classic Chappelle line, like, yo, what does Ja think at a moment? Like, what the fuck do we really care what Lil Wayne or like Kanye has to say right now? They aren't people that would really, in these moments, be really riding for the culture, or not only that, really understand and be able to put forth thoughts that would be able to lead whatever's going on right now.
Yeah, well, I think like also, you know, when it comes to entertainers, we got to start being mindful that like just because an entertainer is very influential in their music and they have tons of followers and they do great musically, that does not make them a voice for our people, or that does not make them a voice in political situations, or not political situations, and just like humanity, all types of shit, right? Because I say for that, like, my son is an artist that has a great voice when it comes to these types of things. Killer Mike, you know what I'm saying? Traded Truth. It's tons of people that go out on the front lines, and we got to stop just using Wayne because it's Wayne or whomever because they're a big person, and look at the people who actually make a difference when they do speak. You know, Killer Mike gave a speech for about 8 minutes where he started off saying that he didn't have any advice, and because he is a son of a police officer in Atlanta and a family member of the officers in Atlanta, he had a different type of perspective, and I think everybody needs to watch his speech. But when it comes to certain artists, I think we just gotta block it out when they say certain things.
Hey, well, you know, I'm a little torn with that though, because I think, you know, and to quote, you know, I've seen this quote a lot on social media recently, but this is true. Like, basically, silence at this point is being a little bit compliant, and you know, you're kind of compliant with what's going on. So everyone has to use their platform to somewhat even speak. I mean, shit.
Yeah,
when I saw that video,
cool somebody saying something, but if you saying something that holds no weight, it's like,
oh no, absolutely, no, absolutely. Like we do have to filter some of the bullshit out, but like, I think everybody should be speaking up, and I understand why fans or even just people are looking to every one of their entertainers, everyone which the majority of entertainers profit off black culture. I'm looking for everybody to make a statement, and shit, it might just be a donation. Like I don't really like look at it like, oh, you got to be out there protesting, because everybody deals with stuff in different ways. Like whether it's Beyonce making a statement, whether it's Jay-Z just making a call, or you know, doing stuff more behind the scenes, whether it's Wale or J. Cole, or shoot, whoever, you know, is on the front line, Lil Yachty. like I don't really care what happens, but I do think your platform. Shit, I've had this conversation with myself, and I had it like I do a live stream, kind of in front of my audience because I'm like my audience ain't really the audience that wanna like. You gotta realize we're in hip hop, and most like we deal with entertainment, and sometimes people come to us, whether it's even me or Complex or whoever, even you guys personally, they come to us for entertainment, and then a lot of times they don't understand like like it's almost like I felt like I had to switch my platform a little bit to be like, yo, this is what matters now. You get me? And it was like, yo, also how do you get to relate it to the people who follow you that this is a big deal? Like, is it establishing different mediums to kind of communicate that? Is it just completely switching what you're doing? And shit, I've had that opinion. I'm like, yo, if these things can't be discussed on a platform that I've built, it's almost like worthless at that point. So I do feel like every entertainer, whether you're a rapper who just got rich by rapping about whatever the fuck, if you're African American or you've taken some, I don't want to say like advantage or exploiting, but like you've definitely gained some success off of Black culture, you have to address this. This is we're at the point of being fed up, and this is why we're seeing some of the protesting and other things going on.
It's absolutely a good point. If you participate in this culture, now is the time to defend the people at the core of this culture. I'm curious how you guys.
Everybody who ain't. I'm sorry, Nadeska. I'm just saying I'm peeping everybody who ain't though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and like actually, there's different ways. If you're not out there protesting, if you don't feel comfortable talking on social media, we're gonna share some links in the description box. Please sign the petitions, donate to the victims' families, do something. Have conversations with your other white friends. I've had some really amazing conversations with my white friends over the weekend. To be honest with you guys, those are all important things. Like, no one should be silent now, even if you're having those conversations internally.
The toughest conversations I've been having is with my children. I'm saying that's a motherfucker, especially raising a young Black boy. That in a couple years he about to be 13 this month, and a couple more years, shit, they ain't gonna look at him as this cute little boy no more. They gonna view him as a threat. So that this shit is real. You know what I mean? I thank you for saying what you said, because nobody can minimize this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta say something, whether it's amongst your peers, whether it's amongst your team, whether it's amongst your fans. However, I think that everybody has some sort of social responsibility as a human to recognize what's going on. When you see what's going on overseas, this young brother, people, had he not passed away, people would have never probably heard about Big Floyd. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace. You got people in New Zealand, you got people in UK and Paris protesting over this. You know what I mean? Just over inhumane treatment. So I think everybody, whether you got money, or you poor, whatever you want to consider yourself, we all hold some sort of social responsibility to one another.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, like you guys were saying before, of course, not every cop in America is a bad cop, but the idea that we need to look at it on a person-by-person basis just doesn't make sense, because even these officers involved, there are multiple claims against them for being violent in the past. I believe one of them was even facing a lawsuit and nothing happened, right? So it just has to be a bigger overhaul. And I'm wondering what role you guys feel companies have in this. Like, Everyday Struggle is definitely going to participate in this Blackout Tuesday. We're going to stand with our colleagues and our peers and artists and all of the labels, and we're going to pause our programming because we need to figure out what the next steps are. But companies like TikTok, that's become huge, especially with all these viral dances. Last week, a TikTok user noticed that he was actually blocked from using hashtags like Black Lives Matter and any tag he put in related to George Floyd. So after other people noticed this and started calling them out, they issued a statement blaming a random error for removing the tags. But some artists aren't really buying that. Polo G said he's no longer using TikTok. It's another blatant case of disrespect, and they're trying to silence our movement. So what role do you guys think, just outside of artists, companies that profit off of Black culture have in this? What role?
Oh my God, I feel like I could talk. There's so many different areas and things to discuss when it comes to this. But TikTok, completely disgusted. In full transparency, even my brand, we have a relationship with TikTok, and I have a good presence over there. I met with them before I ever even got on the platform, and being on the platform, I could definitely speak up and say what we're seeing now is just the most disgusting form of what they've been doing, right? Like TikTok is a social media platform, really. And by the way, this is another reason why I'm really be looking around like, yo, we be calling motherfuckers minorities, but we really in this by ourselves. That's an Asian company. And when you think about Asians, even in America, like you think about minorities. But when it comes to some shit, niggas on their own. TikTok for months, I know this personally, because 1 out of every 3 TikTok videos I upload gets community guideline and flagged and taken down. And it's nothing out of the ordinary. Every video gets uploaded to Instagram, but TikTok has a very, hey, we make money off little kid dances and that type of shit. That's all we want to put out. And here's the thing, because when we talk about media, complex media company, I'm running a media company. You guys are media personalities. We're all media personalities. You look at what the role of media is. It's not only to like make memes and have fun when it's great. It's right. At these moments in history, it's the most important. I feel TikTok is so disgusting. I'm thinking and even like reanalyzing like my stance on the platform. I might do what Polo G did and be like, yo, I'm good off this platform. Because this is about again, people are just taking note now. It's about 6 or 7 times they've apologized for some shit. Oh, word? Oh, like, because if you use slang, this is serious. If you use slang that is African American slang that they might not understand, I guess they have like content moderators, they flag it, take it out. You know why? Because they don't know if it's curses, they don't want kids to see it. You can't really self-express yourself if you're someone of color on that platform. So
what's crazy though, Act, is this, but you can do all them they can do all them silly ass dances to our songs though.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
See, but and that's that. But you know what's so crazy? Because I know before I said something about this before, and people always saying, why you making it a race thing? Because it usually is, and I think that's the problem. We gotta get over this whole being scared to have uncomfortable motherfucking conversations. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I said that, what's wrong with me saying that when it's blatantly obvious? Then it takes for what we're going through to see it through what we're going through, and then people say, oh nah, they might be, you know, a little on the how can I say, the bias side when it comes to doing things, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's no problem. Now look, Act, for everything you just said, it's no problem when one of them white kids is up there dancing and the word niggas in the song though. You know what I'm saying? It's no problem with that. But as soon as you might say, like you said, a word that me and you might say tree shit or whatever, some shit that me and you know, then it gets flagged because they don't know what we talking about.
Yo, in modern history, like when we look at, and this is why we can't absolve TikTok, and this is why this is a big and serious situation. You know, unfortunately, all these big social media companies, you know who they're owned by. They're definitely ain't owned by us. And whether it's like, oh, okay, yeah, Complex got a website, but they're gonna live on Instagram. Who we all know that shit is owned by Mark Zuckerberg. If you could be on Twitter talking all that shit, and you start to realize like these platforms matter, we can't escape them, at least for the interim. But it's been like, if you've looked like overseas where like they're in repressive countries, they use social media to send out messages, hey, we need to go protest. There ain't no protest this week without Twitter. Let's keep it a trill, right? So when you see like the new kid on the block, TikTok almost like, yo, keep us out of the fuck shit, you're like, what? It's moments like this that your platform is going to get defined. If people can't express their hurt, their pain, share the message of what injustices are going on, what the fuck are you here for? You just here for the silly dances? Well, we ain't on the silly dance time, right? Right now, it's not silly dance time. And by the way, that's why we're not talking about music today. It's not like every music felt inconsequential to the time. It's not silly dance time. This is about sending messages. This is about trying to create change. This is about trying to organize. And you need to organize to mobilize and make change. Get that shit out of here. TikTok, I'm utterly disgusted because at this moment they could have used their platform in a better way, but now they're doing the same shit they've always done. Oh, my bad.
Quick question for you on that note. So we obviously do not have a competent leader in the White House who's going to help us through this. If anything, he's just making people more upset and more angry with that very obnoxious tweet he shared a few days ago, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Now, Twitter did take a stand and they put a notice on that tweet that it violates their guidelines for possibly trying to incite violence. People like Mark Zuckerberg feel like that's overstepping. What do you guys feel? Like you said, Twitter plays a huge role as a platform, especially in situations like this. Do you support a move like that, or do you think that's overstepping?
Go ahead, because I don't think it's over. I don't think it's overstepping. I don't think it's overstepping. Now, the only problem I have with all of these platforms is this, right? They have no face to them. But if somebody else creates a platform, somebody from our culture creates a platform and tries to get everybody to use it, everybody calls it corny and say they got too much money, we ain't getting no more money, we ain't going to indulge in it. But we don't control these platforms. Like we have no say so in none of this shit. So I'm happy for Twitter taking a stance, but like, of course, they're gonna be limited too because he's the president. He could probably press some buttons and get their whole shit deleted. You know what I'm saying? If he really.
Well, he's trying, right? He tried to sign the executive order and target social media companies, but I mean, I understand, I guess, Zuckerberg's point about private businesses not interfering. But I appreciate that they're at least willing to take some heat. Jack Dorsey's willing to take some heat in a situation like this. Because what he's saying is so reckless. It's infuriating that there's a person in the White House who would try to incite more violence in a time like this. But, Ak, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think regulation of social media is going to be a big thing that we're going to get into in the next 5 years. The reason being is just simple. Truth be told, I don't got cable. I watch stuff online, but the majority, like, social media is more powerful than actual traditional media. If you think Fox News is more powerful than Twitter, you're wrong. Now, again, maybe the demographics that Fox News hits that social media don't might be different, but social media is huge. And again, I only look at it in a broader perspective where, like, again, I appreciate when the platform will step in when there's like maybe threats of violence or shit like that. I just don't want any type of censorship because that's what I feel TikTok is doing. They're like, nah, because all these companies are they're businesses. Mm-hmm. You get me? Like, I was listening to was my man King Bach, right? He was saying that, you know why some people don't want to get into this or they're hoping it just kind of blows over? They don't want to lose the money with other motherfuckers that might be racist. You feel me? So, like, everybody, like, people who are just either trying to stay quiet or just trying to hope this flies by or not make a stance or whatever, they're just trying to keep the money going. And all these platforms, they're businesses. But I appreciate when one will maybe jeopardize their business to actually make a social stance. Okay?
No, I was about to. No, you said what I was gonna say because I was just about to say, when bullying happens, then you know what I mean. People get flagged for that, and that's bullying at its highest level. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's definitely bullying at its highest level.
But put like this, Twitter puts his neck out so much to do like that because think about this. If the president, like what people don't really recognize about how Donald Trump treats the presidency, that's why he tweets so much. Donald Trump moves the fucking stock market every day by him saying, fuck this company's popping. Matter of fact, I'm about to make a law that's going to fuck you up. He does that every day. He changes the economy, maybe not like crashing this type of shit like that, but he fucks with the economy, like doing all that. And for Twitter to be like, yo, at risk of us possibly making money like in a short future or people not wanting to deal with us because it is the president at the end of the day, we ain't gonna stand for this shit. That is brave.
I respect it and I appreciate it, and like you said, we'll see what's to come. So like I mentioned, we won't be on air tomorrow because we're going to participate in the industry blackout, so we will be back on Wednesday. But in the meantime, we mentioned like T.I., artists like Killer Mike have been really active, and T.I. is asking everyone to join a blackout day on July 7th. Not just black people. He said we need one day of solidarity in America where not a black person in America spends $1. This includes Africans, Native Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanics, all people of color. And I just want to say, even if you're white, we thank you. If you've been out there protesting, if you've been talking to your friends, if you've been tweeting, if you've been Instagramming and trying to do your part to help, if you've been donating, we definitely appreciate it because we need allies. So we're going to drop some links in the boxes below. If you haven't signed all the petitions, please do so. If you can donate, please do that. And guys, any final thoughts? Otherwise, we'll see you guys here on Wednesday.
My final thought is with I'm a little torn on how extreme some of the protesting has gotten. It sometimes we see people like, oh, they're looting this and third. Unfortunately, I'm gonna be honest with you, like that regular peaceful protest shit just wasn't working, man. You know what I mean? Like niggas wanted to kneel at a football game. They said cut that shit out. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't convenient for them at that time. Shit got to get a little bit inconvenient for motherfuckers to be like, oh shit, you know what? Matter of fact, y'all right. You know what I mean? Like again, very sad. And I would never sit here and condone any type of I don't even want to call it extreme protesting, but things that doesn't really go in line with the message. But people like it's actually at the time where I'm seeing some of the people in power realize what will happen when the people who are being oppressed get desperate and they feel they have no option. And that's within every society. There's always going to be rebellion and riot when you push the people to feel like they have no choice to get their message across but do that. So you know what I mean? I'm hoping this is a moment in American history that people remember, but also doesn't need to be repeated, even though it has been before. Like, look at the LA riots after Ronnie King. But hopefully we learn from this. But again, it's very sad, but I understand why it's getting to the point it's getting. And if you're one of those people like, yo, but why they gotta be? No, niggas is frustrated, like utterly frustrated. People been marching Black Lives Matter for 4 or 5 years. We thought we eradicated this shit. Even though it's been going on, we just ain't really been paying attention. It took that video. It took George Floyd for us to be like, yo, oh, hell no. So again, I'm standing with the protesters. And again, hopefully this is going to lead to some change, at least on a systematic level in terms of laws. Even though I think mindset-wise, I think this is... Some of these old motherfuckers got to die, bro. Like, we need, like, new blood in... Because you can't really change a nigga's heart and a nigga's mind, man. Hopefully, just over generations, like, for our kids and our generations to come, things will be better.
Yeah, my final thoughts is, I know a lot of people out there might feel a little bit hopeless. They might feel like led astray and shit. I just say, like, sharpen your senses. Sharpen your senses. There's tons of ways to fight. Whatever way you choose, just make sure that you follow through. I think the only way that we'll get through this is being together and being consistent. Also letting each other know that we care about each other, because this is a tough time. 2020, when the ball dropped, I thought that this was going to be a totally different year than the way it's going. So just keep your head up. And even for myself, I felt a little bit down, but I feel up now. I feel stronger, knowing that I got my head on in the right direction. And I'm trying to lead whoever I can in the right direction. I'm going to keep continuing to do that. I'm going to keep continuing to use my platform and my voice to be heard, to talk about police brutality, talk about all of these things that, need to change. Because a lot of things I grew up thinking was regular is not regular. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, anybody who hears this, share your stories, let's come together and make a change for us, for real.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to keep fighting until all 4 of these cops are prosecuted. And even when that happens... I don't want to say if, I want to say when this has to happen, then we're just at the beginning still of solving the larger problem. So again, if you're out there speaking out, we thank you for your support, and we'll see you guys Wednesday on Everyday Struggle.
So I'm duty bound to be here to simply say that it is your duty not to burn your own house down for anger with an enemy. It is your duty to fortify your own house so that you may be a house of refuge in times of organization. And now is the time to plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize. It is time to beat up prosecutors you don't like at the voting booth. It is time to hold mayoral offices accountable, chiefs and deputy chiefs. Atlanta is not perfect, but we're a lot better than we ever were, and we're a lot better than cities are. I'm mad as hell. I woke up wanting to see the world burn down yesterday because I'm tired of seeing black men die.
unfortunate we gotta do shit like this to get our voices heard, but I feel like, you know what I'm saying, we gotta stand for something or fall for anything, you know what I'm saying? So, it's just, it doesn't make any sense to me, you know, as I sat home, you know, and I'm trying to make it add up as to why we have to go through breaking windows, demolishing this is ours. This is, you know what I'm saying, like, we may not own it, but we live here. We raising our families here, and we building up our lives here. So it's unfortunate we gotta do this just to show our frustration. You know what I mean? It shouldn't take that. But that's the life we live in, and we gotta do what we gotta do. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna stick together because that's most important. Whether you black, whether you white, green, yellow, purple, we together. You know what I'm saying? We're a family, and we're gonna show them what it takes. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Black Lives Matter.